Second time lucky. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if that went live or not. Anyway, Dr. O, hope you're all well. It's Monday evening. I wanted to send you a message regards WhatsApp. WhatsApp, the bane of our life or the love of our life? What do you reckon? Be interested to know your thoughts on that. In 2013, 7 years ago, WhatsApp probably came out maybe a little bit before that. And I used to run these life management, time management programs, 3-day course. We did money, we did time management, and then we did communications on part of the last day. And I remember introducing WhatsApp at the time. Hey, Sanjay. And people were like, what's WhatsApp? So I introduced how I used it. That was 7 years ago. WhatsApp's just gone through the roof, as most of you are aware. The whole buyout with Facebook, huge amounts of money, billions. So do we love it or do we hate it? Overall, I went through a period where I tried to come right off WhatsApp, and unfortunately I couldn't do it. And over the years, WhatsApp for me has been primarily a business tool. That's essentially how I use it. And actually there's WhatsApp Business now as well as a separate WhatsApp tool. But I want to make a point. WhatsApp can be extremely time consuming. And for a lot of people, if you're trying to manage your time and manage your life and you have a phone close by, that is just... And the reason it took off so much, for those of you that have been using it a while, but back in the day, to send a video and a voice message and a text was amazing. And so it just took over text because text was just so limited. The fact that you could record something, and back in the early days, WhatsApp was like 30 seconds a minute, and now, of course, then they extended it on. You can get long messages. Hi, Taka. Good to see you joining us. So what happened was, I found we set up these groups, and most of you probably use WhatsApp now, and it's fanatically used. But the danger is, and the danger was when it came out and still is, that it can be all-consuming. And so WhatsApp, to me, within our business, is a firefighting tool. It allows you to send instant messages with fairly instant responses. But the danger to it is that a theme, a project, a series of conversations that are taking place, they just scroll up the screen and you lose them. So we have taken to using several tools, but essentially we bounce our records and we keep records of our communications through something called Slack. I'm sure there's different things, Teams, whatever, everybody uses different tools. We use Slack as our way of cataloging, keeping records, and following through on certain projects or ideas, and it's a very powerful tool. And I played with it about 3-4 years ago, then I kind of came off it, mainly because the team weren't necessarily into it, and then we got back onto it again. And Harmender, you probably know Harms from the Growth Tribes. If you haven't followed us on Growth Tribes, go to www.growthtribes.com/podcast. My brain went down there. You'll find us there. So I got back into it again a couple of years ago. How to use, and this is how we use it, and I started using this about 3 or 4 years ago. How to use WhatsApp in a way where you get clarity is we precede our conversations with one word. But you need to let people know about this, because I've tried this in the past and forgot to tell people what I'm doing. What I mean by that is, let's say you got a property you want to discuss and it's called Everett Street, right? So what I'll do is I'll type Everett Street and then I'll record a message. So whoever I'm sending the message to, for example, my PA or my accounts manager or business partner, they'll know that the following message is linked to Everett Street. If it's a message about finance, I'm going to put finance and then I'm going to leave a message. And that makes a massive difference. So if you look, I can't do it now, but if you look to my WhatsApp, I've got several messages from one person today, and they're all preceded by text, not a voice, but a text message. What that allows me to do is very, very quickly flick through. And if I know it's something I want to pick up on, I'll go to that message and I'll listen to that message. Equally, the team that I work with know that if it's something urgent, they need to put urgent. So it might be urgent, Everett Street. If it's just Everett Street, I don't treat it as urgent, which means I might not look at that message till the end of the day. The danger of WhatsApp is that you can keep looking at it and keep looking at it and you can be consumed by it. The beauty of it, if used properly, and your team know this, or whoever you're working with, might be you review WhatsApp at certain periods during the course of the day. Those of you that are Growth Tribe supporters, in other words, on the podcast, and the whole model's changed, by the way. So we've changed the whole model with the podcast now, because people are wanting to get access to a load of tools that I've created. So if you haven't done, or you're looking at supporting us or following us on the podcast, there's now an opportunity to be a supporter, and that gives you access to a whole bunch of my products. And you can go and have a look at that on growtribes.com/podcast. But one of the ones we've got there is time management. Now, one of the time management series is like 2.5 hours long, breaks down these 6 different areas of how to manage your time and your life. And in there, one of the things is talking about different tools we use. So when you're now using, try this for the next couple of days. Anybody that you're going to liaise with or communicate with on WhatsApp, let them know that you're going to precede a message with the subject heading. That way, they can look back through it in the end of a day or middle of a day and see what's most important. If you want to make it urgent, put urgent important in front of it. I have so many people trying to connect with me all the time that I use WhatsApp. I know sourcing agents, business partners, heads of companies, even clients that I work with, and I know how busy we are. So if I was to call somebody, particularly if it may be me and they think, oh, I better answer the phone to Ro, they're going to pick the phone up, but they might be in the middle of something. Builders that work for me, I get pissed off when a builder is on the phone on my time. So equally, if I phone a builder and they're on somebody else's time, it's not kind of fair for that client. So what I do is I leave WhatsApp messages giving the name of the project, a question, and then you've got 2 choices. One is a voice message and the other one is a text message. Now, how do I use this? If it's something that is succinct, that somebody needs to process and they want to extract something quickly with a very clear message, I will type it. In fact, I don't even type it now, I just dictate it, because now you've got a dictate button, it's very clear. The voice to text transcribes now are phenomenally accurate. So I'll do that. If on the other hand, it is something more personal, and to type it would take that much text, but I can record it in say 30 seconds to a minute and tighten it down, then I'll use an audio. The problem with audio is now whoever receives it has to listen to it. So if you send a 2-minute message, a 10-minute message, an 8-minute message, and they've got 7 of those, that's a lot of listening time. So you've got to kind of measure. And I'm a WhatsApper, so anyone knows me well, Ro is a WhatsApper. So I will go, right, okay, I've got 4 important messages to get across. Do I want to text it or do I want to voice message it? If it's important enough and I want to get enough information across in a short space of time, I'm going to go bang, 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 and there needs to be a purpose to it. I got a lovely message last week from somebody, and it didn't really have any meaning. It was a 3.3 minute message, right? 3 minutes 30. And it was just sharing a bit about life, but it didn't really, even in the share, didn't seem to have a purpose to it. And so the other 3 minutes I was like, okay, it's a nice message, but it didn't really have any meaning. It didn't have any meaning to me, and it didn't seem to have any purpose to it. Those are the kind of messages that can be frustrating for somebody. Now, if you're in an exchange with somebody, so for example, Harmender and I, who you listen to here, or you listen to me, but you might listen to him when he comes on to our podcast. If we're bouncing backwards and forwards some ideas, like we're just setting up my next few podcasts, he's just had a baby, by the way, so he's been off the grid for a couple of weeks. So we're bouncing a few points. There's a chain of conversation there. That's fine, as long as it's short, we know that. But the minute it gets long and exchanges become 3, 4, 5 minutes, I'm lost, and he's probably the same. So I do the same thing with other people. And with my family, it's very quick messages. I just want to send a short message across. If I'm catching up with somebody, I'm going to put literally a prelude or a pretext saying, this is a catch up, not urgent. And then they know, okay, Ro's sending me a message, but it's not urgent, I'll listen to it later. If I want somebody to respond, I'll say response needed. And this is a really powerful way to use WhatsApp. It changes the dynamic. It makes you feel less stressed, but it also makes the other person feel less obligated as well. Give me a thumbs up or a yes if this is making sense, because I've had a lot of people over the years say to me, what do you use as a tool for your time management? I mean, I'm all over the world. If I go speaking in different countries, it's really hard to catch up with somebody. Now, some people get pissed off with this. They go, oh, yeah, but I want to speak to you, But if I'm having a really busy day, and it's the same thing for you, I'm sure, it's quite stressful if you feel obligated to pick up a phone call from somebody, when in fact you do want to speak to them, it's just not at this moment in time, because you've got too many things stacked up. Like I've got the next 3 or 4 days, I've got stacked up. I'm creating a new product. We're launching our online communications with impact program. We've restructured Growth Tribes now so people can be a supporter of the Growth Tribes podcast, and for a tiny amount of money get a huge amount of content, which is great. I'm so excited about that. So all that's happening at the same time. I've got my house happening. I've got to go pick up some stuff for my builders tomorrow. I've got an important strategy call with some of my team. That takes up a day. Now, imagine if everybody keeps ringing you in between that. Whereas if you say to people, just drop me a WhatsApp and give me a quick heads up on what it's about. And if it's urgent, let me know. Great. If it's urgent, I'll pick it up at lunchtime. If it's not urgent, I'll pick it up at the end of the day, and then I can respond accordingly. So if used properly, great tool. If not used properly, it can be very frustrating, and you end up with, as I do sometimes, 30, 40 WhatsApps. It's like, where do I start? And are they serious? Are they important? Text, easy to read. Voice message, not so easy. My PA and my accounts manager know I literally converse with them a lot through WhatsApp, because we can get a lot done during the course of a day without having to speak to each other. It means I don't distract them if they're on an important call. Because if I phone my PA and she's trying to, I don't know, chase up a letting agent, for example, or getting me booked into somewhere, and I call, she might think, oh shit, Ro needs to speak to me, I better take this. She comes off the other call and I go, how you doing? Just wanted to catch up with you. She's like, but I was on a call for you. So think about how important the messages are that you're sending, and when is it appropriate to call somebody, when is it appropriate to WhatsApp. And of course the danger is, and I fall into this trap as well, you could have 2 months of WhatsApp conversation with somebody and not actually speak to them. So it's finding a balance there. And some of my closest friends, in fact, a very good dear friend of mine, actually I've got to call him, who's a trader. I haven't spoken to him for months, and he sent me a WhatsApp the other day and said, hey Ro, we haven't spoken to months. I said, yeah, you're right. We've WhatsApped a lot, but we haven't actually spoken. So I think that's the balance with this. If you get it the wrong way, you can distance yourself from people, even though you can stay close to them. But equally, if it's done the proper way, from a structure perspective, frigging very powerful. All right, I'm going to sign off. Hopefully that was useful. Have a play with it. Let me know how you get on. Dr. Rose signing out. And by the way, if you want to find out more about what we're doing in Grow Tribes, go to the website and see, because there's a whole bunch of new changes happening. And CWI is coming out soon for those of you that want to get the online condensed program that we're putting out. Take care.